Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Business of Books episode 1 with me and Eve Daniels, the nerdy nanny. I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us. It is morning where you are, Cache, but it is closing in on evening over here. So, hi, my name is Eve Daniels. I'm a published children's author, currently living in Sweden and trying to balance running a business with going to grad school. It's going well.
And I'm Cache. I am currently doing similar things as far as grad school and writing and all the other stuff that I have going on. So my video came out late because I accidentally pushed it for today instead of Friday. So it came out right before this started. So for those of you guys who have not seen it, I'll kind of give you like the cliff notes about it. So what we did is the first video was writers versus author, me being a writer, Eve being an author already, and I just talk about things that I am doing now to bring myself from writer to author in my video, and that includes blogging and then writing short stories in my overall novel world to get people introduced to the characters, to the world, and to also get practice in different genres.
Yeah, and we both sort of touched on in different capacities what exactly that means, the difference between being a writer versus being an author, because I still maintain that you can publish books if you're doing it just for fun and not really be an author. So it depends on if that line is, are you published? Are you treating this as a business? It depends on where that line is. I think that's such a personal thing too, whether you're calling yourself a writer or an author.
And I agree, because you can still be a writer and get paid for your work. So it is not necessarily the publishing paying aspect. I think it's a personal choice on what you see and what defines it. And for me, that line is having a work of fiction published, ISBN, that kind of stuff. Not just like, because you can hit publish on a blog and technically you're published, right? You can hit publish on Wattpad and technically you're published. Those are things that technically work. But for me, that's not what my goal is or what I consider to be an author. And that's what I speak on in my video.
Yeah, and that's what you were touching on. And then the other thing is that it's the same sort of thing with KDP. Technically, you can hit publish, but you can do that for a 400-word essay, and it's technically publishing, but it's a very different sort of thing when you're thinking about yourself as either a recreational writer or a author, in which case you're sort of representing a business or a brand in some capacity, and that business is you.
Completely agree. So maybe we get in, say hi to everybody, and then kind of tell them where we got this idea from and where it started, while people kind of give us questions about the writer versus author or things that they might want to know about, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a good
idea. So this is going to be a little different. So bear with us.
We're figuring it out.
What we want to do. So we got the bro Grayson Wild in there. What it do, everybody? I'm Grayson Wild, and I write with pride. I like diving into fantasies, into warm mugs of coffee, and I'm here to learn about the business of books today. And if YouTube deletes my comment, I'm gonna fight them. Naked Firefly, hello. So glad to see you here. Hi, Sid. Hi, bro. Glad to see you here too. We got Nicole, the blind mage. Thank you so much for joining us. And then we got Tiny Scribe, aka Kaylee. Thank you so much for being here today, love. We appreciate you. Let's see. We got Eva writes, good morning, ma'am. How are you today? And the lovely Miss Hannity. How are you? Hannity streamed with me for the first time last week on Thursday, so that was awesome getting to see her. And we got Nina's Pages. Hello. Nina's Pages is coming all the way from the Philippines to tune in today. So yeah.
Oh, wow.
Super duper excited about that. And we got O Monroe coming in from the UK, from London. Appreciate you being here as well. So we got
more people like from my time zones than we do.
We got a lot more people in your time. But that's what I knew would happen if we did it earlier in the day.
Yeah.
More international.
You can rep my international peeps.
Right. Hello, okay, Weird. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. Oh, yeah. Sarah Matthews. Oh, man, I've been on social media for too long. I miss you all. So glad to be able to make it. We're glad that you're here, too. Thank you so much for joining us. We got Better Days Are Here, Zealous. Ooh, I'm not, that's a new avatar first. I haven't seen that before. And then second, what kind of car is that? I know that's the Mercedes emblem, but I have never seen
I
that
think that's
before.
a theoretical concept design for an electric car.
Okay. All right. Well, go ahead and tell me what it is then.
Yeah.
We got Ashley. Hello, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. And Debbie, it's so great to see you as well. How is your comics coming? Cash has Grayson down pat. I appreciate it. Yes, Grayson voice. Hi, Sophia. How are you? It's so good to see you. I remember that avatar. I feel like the name is a little different, but I remember because that's an incense holder, right? Is that an incense holder? Am I tripping? I feel like I'm not.
No, that's what it looks like. Is it a coiled dragon holding
Yeah, it looks
incense?
like a dragon.
Yeah.
I think she does my intro better than me. Ah, shucks. Yeah, it's great to see you. Hey, Izzy, how are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. How has life been your way? I hope it's doing good. I hope it's doing good. All right, so I guess we start with where we got the idea from, so that people kind of know what to expect for the next few months, right? You want to go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and lead off that?
Yeah, sure. Well, we started chatting back and forth after I basically stalked you, and then we were involved in a live stream together, which is how I make all of my friends. But yeah, and then we chit chatted afterwards, and I was talking about we were both from business backgrounds, and there were a couple of other people that had been in streams or whatever who'd sort of been having trouble with certain aspects, or it's hard to explain this unless you've actually gone to school, but it's sort of like the way a doctor looks at something versus the way a person looks at something. It's just a different frame of reference. So we started comparing notes and being like, yeah, it would be really cool if there was a way to sort of explain this to people and go through it step by step. And then this glorious baby that is the business of books was born.
Oh, well, congratulations. I'm pretty sure that is something that you have been working towards, and I know you're so happy and glad about that. So I just want to say congratulations. I'm happy for you. I'm sorry that we haven't been able to talk, but yay, this is awesome. I'm so happy for you. Oh, this makes me excited for you. All right, sorry, I had to get that.
Oh, yes.
Shorten your name. Okay, I was like, I know that name looks a little different. I knew I wasn't tripping.
Mm-hmm.
And Spence joined us. Nice to see you. Hello. One thing that I was gonna say about the, I guess, in conception of the entire idea was basically something that I saw over the past few months of watching was there were a lot of people who did not understand business. They understood how to create and how to write, and that was what they were focusing on. But their ultimate goal is to make money from what they write. And so, what I was seeing and what Eve was seeing was just that there was a big disconnect on how to make your words make money for you and how to do that and how to market yourself and things like that. And so what we wanted to do was kind of simplify that a little bit. Like we know we can't give you guys a 4-year business school education. Like that's not going to happen. But we could simplify harder to understand concepts, harder to grasp concepts in a way that you can at least begin to start to do things for yourself. Now you may always choose to outsource stuff later on that you don't want to do yourself and you want to have someone who is business oriented to do for you. But there are some things that you could do yourself that you could start with now, and that's kind of what we want to do with this series. So the plan is for this to be a monthly series. This month you get 2 live streams because of my horrible being able to upload stuff on YouTube, and so I do apologize. But hey, you get to see our lovely faces twice this month, so there's that as well.
Yeah,
and
hopefully
Grapevine
we can
is
make
here.
this.
She said, "I'm here as long as my internet allows." We appreciate it. Oh, hi, Marley. Hi. I love you. I miss you. I would sing your song, but nobody need to know your song but me. So there we go.
Yeah. Oh, and one of the things I was thinking was we could, one of the things we talked about was is not just simplifying things, but presenting things and the business concepts in a way that's less intimidating. Because I think it's so easy to get overwhelmed. Like you're like, I'm gonna be an author, and then it's like, right, are you gonna have an LLC? Do you have a platform? What social medias are you using? What SEO or kind of analytics are you dealing with? And you're just like, what? I don't know any of those words.
Right. No, and like SEO sounds so much easier to
Oh,
understand.
so,
So, how's your search engine optimization going? What?
yeah.
What? Yeah, exactly.
What?
So,
Yeah, it is just so overwhelming at first, and I think that for me that's the biggest part of it, is to make it less intimidating, because each month we're going to be breaking this down into like a manageable chunk. We're not going all in. It's like, this month we're going to deal with this little chunk, this month we're going to deal with this little chunk, and then as you follow along with us, you'll be like, remember we talked about this 3 weeks ago, you're going to use that, sort of build on it. Now we tackle the next chunk, because everything is manageable if you can just break it down into smaller, easy to consume pieces.
I completely agree with that. I completely agree. All right, so where should we start with today's episode? Where would you like to start?
I think we should start by asking what our lovely viewers would consider as sort of like, do you call yourself a writer? Do you call yourself an author? Where are you at sort of in that journey? And what do you think your next step should be? And we can sort of go from there, because knowing where you're starting is usually the first step to figuring out where to go next.
All right, you guys. So, are you a writer or an author? And please explain or give your reason why you feel you are one versus the other, if you could. We would appreciate that. And while you guys are doing that, we will say hi to Alice. Hello. It's so good to see you. And Regina joined us, and so did Elsie Clemens and Ashley B. We are so glad to see all you guys here. It's just awesome to see your lovely faces, or avatars in this case. And Debbie says, it's going well for the most part. I've been struggling to get it done as I've been having to homeschool my kids. Segue into something Eve is working on. There we go. I'll let you go ahead and
There you go. Well, hi, Debbie. For those who don't know, published children's author, also tutor for the last 10 years. So I'm actually going to be doing a seminar with the lovely Stephanie Whitson, who is a homeschooling mom with 10 plus years experience. And we're going to be doing a stream next Sunday. I'll have the link up for that soon. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, ring the bell so that you don't miss the notification. But we're going to be doing a seminar next Sunday on distance learning, homeschooling, sort of resources that are available for you, and tips from Stephanie as to how to not lose your mind or your hair.
Awesome. And if you, I would also recommend that you connect with the Naked Firefly. She has also been homeschooling for years and homeschools all her children. Also, she has a podcast where she's also talked about homeschooling on there as well. So I would definitely check that out if I were you as well. All right, so we got some answers coming in. Izzy says, I'm a self-published author and I know nothing about marketing. Ooh, we gonna get to marketing.
Oh yeah,
that was my can't wait to dive into that. Hi, Jabria. It's so good to see you. Or Jabria. Is it Jabria or Jabria? Tell me, because I feel like I don't want to say it wrong, because I love it. It's like awesome. So whichever one, it sounds beautiful. And it's nice to see you. Good morning, afternoon to you as well. Grayson says, I'm a writer, but in my heart, I'm a Grayson. Well, we appreciate that. We love that
you could never be anything other than a Grayson.
Exactly. Great Fry says, I'm a writer. I've authored nothing, but I write a lot of ish. Hey, I feel that. Ashley says, I would consider myself a writer. I'll consider myself an author when I have a finished manuscript. Okay. I can respect that a lot. Hannity says, I'm a writer. Sophia says, I'm a scribbler. I'm just too new on writing to think I'm a writer. Okay, I understand that. Omar Rose says, I just say I write. If I tell anyone my age, they tend to ask where the book is.
Tell them to hold their dang horses.
I know, right? It takes time. Alice says, I'm a writer. I have been published, but only with poetry and essays. My novels are still in the works. Same. I'm right there with you. Naked Fire says, I'm an author, but I'm a storyteller more than a writer. Okay.
And she tells amazing stories, for the record. If you haven't checked out The Healer's Love yet, then where the heck have you been?
Yeah, if you haven't read it, You need to. It's Jabria. Got it. Jabria, I see your comment. I got it. Jabria. I will get that the next time. I won't mess it up. Good morning, beautiful ladies. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm excited for this topic. Awesome. Smith says, I'm a professional writer, soon to be author. In my brain, authors are people who publish books. Professional writers are people who have been paid to write, and writers are anybody who writes. Okay.
I like that answer. That's a very comprehensive sort of framework, you know?
Yeah. She says, I consider myself a writer. If you write, you're a writer, but I don't consider myself an author. I guess I won't until I get published. That's the line for me. Aspiring author, but definitely a writer. All right. Better days are here. I'm just a writer because I haven't put a book out yet to consider myself as an author. Right, I'm there with you. Jabria says, I'm a writer. The closest I've gotten to getting published was the annual writing magazine in high school. Okay. And
yeah, so it looks like we've got sort of.
Yes, where have you been? Where have you been?
Oh, she's been home school for years.
All right, I'm a writer. Everything's a first draft. Awesome. Nina says, I consider myself a writer, not yet an author. I can consider myself as an author once I see my name on my book after I publish. I understand that. Tiny Scribe, writer on my end. I think if I ever get published, maybe I'll start saying author, right? I consider myself a comicer. I like that. I like that. Ooh, Sophia. I love it. Jessica says, I'm a human, I think. You think? Are you sure? You could be an alien. You could.
She could be a series of tiny gerbils in a raincoat, too.
Oh, wow. I'm a homeschooler, right? Homeschool. Yeah, homeschool kids. Also, hi, just got here. No worries, no worries. Melly says, I'm a writer. I won't consider myself an author until I publish a book. I just think about well-known authors like Stephen King and Jodi, I don't know how to say her last name, Picoult.
I think you're right.
Say they've authored books. Okay. Some authors are not writers. Some writers are not authors. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Writer. Brittany says writer. I've only had poems or stories published, and now I write screenplays. Ooh, that's awesome. Hey, Kate, it's so good to see you. I love that answer. I say freelance writer or aspiring author because I found that if I say professional writer, people tend to think I make all my money from writing. I got that.
Yeah.
So is that pie cult or Picoult? Which one?
We need a phonetic spelling.
Right, we need phonetic. Is that pie cult or pickle? I didn't know. Great Fry says your 3 kids stacked in a trench coat. Dang it, Nerdy Nanny. I don't need another random idea to write about, but why are their gerbils gathered together in a coat? What's their goal? I have questions.
Obviously, they're trying to take over the world, Grayson. Why else would they be wearing a trench coat?
Got it. Jodi
okay,
there we go. See? Help me out. All right. Okay, so as I said in my video, I consider myself to be a writer. I have gotten paid to write things, but I don't necessarily consider myself a professional writer either. Like Kate was saying, like I do feel like I need to make more money from writing, not occasional money from writing, I guess. But I do consider myself an aspiring author, and I do consider myself closer to that goal now that there's like a short story out there into that world, into the world. But I feel like I will consider myself author when I can do this, and it's not the Naked Fireflies book, it's my book, and I'm like, yay, I finished it. So I feel like that's the line for me.
Yeah, I will say, be prepared to cry when you hold that first book.
Oh, I know I'm a cry. I expect like snot and like I expect.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pretty.
I expect a lot of.
I think it's really interesting too, because we got kind of a spectrum. For most people, the line seems to be publishing, but for a lot of people, it's sort of income. And I think with income, it's like when you're making the majority of like when your monthly rent you're paying for with writing, as opposed to your writing money paying for treats or being extra. I think that's a pretty, safe gradient to aim for, but like, no one likes to acknowledge how slim the margins in the writing community can be. So to aim there, you really need to have a plan. But it was interesting that I forgot who it was. Who was it who said that when they finish a manuscript, that's when they're an author, because they've completed a work. Whether or not it gets picked up for publishing, it's done. There, yes, Ashley. Yeah, and I think that's really interesting, especially because a lot of us who have published have self-published, and there aren't really any barriers there. So when publication is a simple 1, 2, 3, then I feel like that it becomes more spectrum and less one or the other. Because there are things published on Kindle that somebody knocked together in 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, no. I remember I was watching a YouTuber and they were going on and on about how like a book was only like 30 something thousand words and that you could easily do that in a month and and I was just
like
you
not
must be writing
30,000 good
self-help
words.
or something. You're not writing a book of fiction. You're writing something completely different. Like there's, and I feel like that there are levels to it, right? The type of writers. Like, yeah, there are writers who write self-help books or things like that, and they aren't writing works of fiction, and they can produce more content than
Yeah.
a fiction writer does. There are so many different things that go along with that. And then here's Bonnie saying there are so many different ways to be published. Working as a copywriter, I've had plenty of words published for business. Novel writing is a different story. Tough topic, writers versus artists. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Ooh,
Because the
yeah.
things that I have had published aren't necessarily works of fiction. They've been articles about things in the business world and things like that, things that had to do with what my career and my education were in. So it is a completely different process of getting those things published and out there into the world than these things. So I completely agree that with the differences in barriers, depending on what type of writing you're doing, depends on what level of writer versus author you are at.
Yeah, where you are in that genre. But I think for a lot of people, the line in the sand seems to be publishing. And then when you make that your line, then I think you need to start examining what publishing means to me. Do you mean traditionally published? Do you mean self-published? Do you mean glamour press? Because I'm one of those people that thinks that glamour presses actually are the right fit for some people. If you can't do your own editing and your own cover design, a glamour press might be the right way to go, but there's a lot of trash talk about them in the comment boards.
No, I agree with that. And so then Melanie brings up a good point because I do talk about blogs in my video that came out today. And it says, bouncing off of that, I'm a blog writer and I blog as well. When our posts go live, they're published. So would that make us an author blogs? Shrugs. So here's the thing: blogger is its own title.
Yeah.
Because there are people that blog that never really post words. They post pictures or videos or things like that. So there's not necessarily a lot of writing. And I think blogging can go hand in hand with writing. There are a lot of authors that have websites that run a blog constantly. And I think that that's something that those in the AuthorTube community sometimes forget about, that being an access point to readers. Because as I've seen, there are not a lot that I've seen that do blog. I see that there are a few of us that do, but when I go and I see that like there's a blog on this author's website and this author's website, and these are New York Times best-selling authors, it kind of leads me to believe that, hey, there could be something to this as far as building your platform and gathering more people to your content.
Yeah, which goes hand in hand in that thing that we were going to dive into, marketing. Because what is marketing except building a platform and a readership? So any activity that you do that exposes you to the world and then gains you attention or readership, whether that's blogging, Instagram, YouTube, it's all marketing in some capacity or another. It's just getting your name out there and then figuring out not just how you want to present your work, but how you want to present yourself. Because I feel like with writers and authors, that's something that you don't think about consciously, at least not at first. But for example, you don't see a whole lot of James Patterson dancing on top of tables because that would not do well for his brand. So now that he's an author, he's been an author for probably longer than either of us have been alive, but
that part.
Yeah. Details. But yeah, when you start making that, and this goes into that transition of when you're starting to go from writer to author, you have to start thinking about how you're going to represent yourself and what image you want to project. If you're writing in kids' books, for example, Maybe post fewer pictures of yourself drinking at the Renaissance Festival.
Is that from personal experience? Is that what that face
Yeah.
is?
I forgot how many I had up, and I had to take a bunch down. I can't help it. Renaissance festivals are a lot of fun. And they're not as much fun if you're not drinking. There, I've said it. But if you're doing like historical romance or fantasy, then yes, pictures of you at the Renaissance Festival are absolutely on brand. And you should go take more of them, and therefore go to more Renaissance festivals and mark it down in an Excel sheet as a work-related expense.
Oh, when we get to expensing things, that'll be a fun conversation. Alice says works of fiction are so different. I've had 4 essays published traditionally, but they took less than a month to write each. Very, very true. Very true. Hello, Suey. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate another international person making it this way.
Ooh,
Bonnie
where's Suey
says
from?
plus, huh? She's in
Where's
Australia.
Ooh, okay.
Bonnie says plus some people turn out crap that is unreadable, and yay, they're published. It's very true. Let's see. Oh, it jumped. I do apologize, you guys.
It does do that.
All right. Jessica says, I have a blog. I never post on it. So that is the other thing about blogging. You have to be able to manage it. And this is coming from somebody who has fallen off blogging multiple times because it does take work. It is some work. And so part of the reason I brought it up is because if you create your blog to be an extension of what you're already working on, it's less work. Now, my blog is not exactly the same as what I'm writing, so it is more work for me. The second one, especially because it's a lifestyle and mental health blog that has definitely needed to get some work done on it. But because of that, it's more work for me than just my novels, which is part of the reason why I started wanting to do the short stories and put them on the blog so that they're more on brand and more dealing with what I want to grow in. I want to finish the novel. I want to get the novel out. I want to get people interested in the novel. How do I do that? I use my blog to do that. So one of the ways I talk about in the video is the short stories that I write connect to the characters that are in the novel. So it's a way for, before the book ever comes out, people to get interested in the characters, get interested in the world, and kind of already be like, oh, I'm ready for this because I know this happened last year. I know this happened in this character's life during their senior year of high school. So I'm excited to see what that does for them in their freshman year. And so blogging can be an excellent way to get that out. So I know that we use our YouTube to get our platform out, right? But YouTube is a completely different animal, right? It's video. It's nowhere close to it. It's way, way vastly different from each other. Yeah. And the biggest thing is it takes away from your ability to write.
Yeah.
As much as we love YouTube, as much as I love that you guys are here watching this, you're not writing. But if you were blogging, what would you be doing?
You'd be writing. Yep.
Right? And so that
I'd be interested to know how many of the people watching have blogs or have a website of some kind. Like how many of them are already on that path? And sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, nothing. I'm about to put that question up for you.
Yeah, I can figure that out sooner or later. But yeah, because I have a website and it's sort of a blog, but it's thenerdynanny.com posts mostly kids content and educational stuff, which I don't really talk about on my YouTube. So I'm reaching two completely separate demographics with that. And that I've basically made myself a mountain of work with that because I'm creating original content every week that is not related to anything I'm writing. But if I'm honest, most of it is sort of stuff that I write anyways, just because it's thoughts floating around in my head. But so I think that's a good way to do it, is make it something that you would want to do anyways. And then just, make sure you don't have any really embarrassing spelling mistakes before you hit post.
That part. So we had Hannah and Stig join us as well. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. So Ashley said she wants to start a blog to build a platform, but she also said, what is Glamour Press? I haven't heard of it before.
Okay, so publishing 101, you have three main avenues. You have traditional publishing, usually referred to as the big five. This is like Random House, Penguin House. There are smaller publishing houses within them. When you hear people talking about querying, that's what they're doing. They're sending their work to an agent. the agent sends it to a publisher, or you send it directly to a publisher. That's traditional publishing. Self-publishing is entirely online, and depending on how you do it, if you do it through Kindle Direct Publishing, you are then just creating a formatted document. You have to create cover art, you upload it, you hit post. Congratulations, you're published. And they will assign you a free ISBN. Glamour Press, something different. These are publishing houses, which you send your work to, and they will then approve your work. I've never heard of anyone being turned down by a Glamour Press because they make their money from you publishing, not from book sales, from you publishing. So what that means is you're sending them your work. They may charge you, I think the average is around $400. And then sometimes you'll get certain perks with that, like a free edit or a proofread. You should always double check that though, because again, they're making their money from selling you these services, so they're not necessarily inclined to do the best job. And they will then publish your book, so they will print on demand copies that you can then order, and they'll have it available for sale on their website. The reason this is sort of problematic is because people who don't understand the difference will submit to these thinking that they're traditional publishers. They will give them their manuscript. Yay, they're published. They never sell a single book, because they don't understand that when you Glamour Press, you are still independently publishing. You are still in charge of everything. You have to do the marketing. You have to create the platform. You have to do all of the buzz materials. You have to find the customers and get them to your book. When you're publishing with a traditional publishing house, you're involved in some of the marketing stuff, but they're the ones doing it. So being published through a Glamour Press is still like self-publishing. But if, for example, you're really bad at editing, or you just want to find someone else to handle your cover art, they sell you services for that. So that's why sometimes it's a good fit for people who don't want to take on those extra aspects, but you are still self-publishing, and you need to be aware of that, because otherwise they're going to hit publish, your book is going to sit there on a digital shelf, and your mother's going to buy 2 copies, and that's about it.
All right. Great process. I'm working on it. My blog is under construction. Grayson says, I need to update my blog. You keep forgetting that it exists, and so I'm questioning about it. Kate says, I want to get into blogging more. Once my website is updated, eventually, maybe. But I often find I use all my video ideas for video format with AutoTube. Exactly. That is a big, big thing. And Hannah says, ditto. I used to blog, but YouTube has vacuumed up all my ideas.
But you could use your blog as a supplement. When you create a video, for example, you hit publish and then people comment in the things. A week later, you could easily post to your blog and be like, hey, by the way, I had this video go up on YouTube. And then, but something someone said in the comments gave me an idea, or here's a link to some of the resources. Like, a blog post doesn't have to be a novel. It could be 500 to 1,000 words. And if you can piggyback off the same ideas. You can't do that every time, or people get bored and turn away, but you could do that most of the time. And there's nothing saying you can't only post once a month.
So then we have Sui says neither. Great Fry says working on Glamour Press and Vanity Press. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
same thing. Alice, I want to get started on a website, but a blog will have to wait because I already write for my school board, student news, and worse, and there's already a lot of writing. Understandable.
I would make a point here. There's quite a few people who are differentiating website and blog, and they do not need to be different things.
Right. So when I was talking about authors having blogs, they're on their websites. It's a tab in their website that they have. So the two can go hand in hand. They don't necessarily need to be 2 different entities. So there's that as well. Also, so we're kind of talking about this before backstage as we're getting ready to talk about the difference between a blog and a website, because websites for the most part are stagnant. And if you are not writing, if you don't have anything ready to publish outside of giving your bio, what else are you putting on your website for readers to know about you? If you don't have a book out, what else is there for them? That's where the blog part comes in. Because when you go to a website, you want to be able to get something from it. You want your readers, you want your patrons, you want people to have a reason to come back. If there's nothing being updated, what are they going to come back to your website for? What are they going to be
Yeah,
checking for? It's just like
they
with
won't.
YouTube. You have to continuously be putting something out. And the thing is people get excited about websites and are like, oh, I'm going to do my author website. But what's there?
Yeah, your website really is just a landing page. It's something to give you validity and prove that you exist, but it's not generating. It's not like everybody talks about those what do they call it? Sorry, my brain just stopped. The things that make you money without you having to do things. A website is not that. A website is purely a landing page. It gives you a level of professionalism. It lets people know that you're serious about this. But once people click there, Cash is absolutely right. You have to give them a reason to click back. Otherwise, you worked hard to get that one click, and now you get zero returns because they're like, oh, that was cool. They had a picture up of their dog. Never going back to that website again because they're not doing anything on it. But yeah, if you there are ways to do it so that, like, for example, Margaret Peterson Haddix, one of my all-time favorite children's author, YA. I don't know. She does it all. She's amazing, and I love her. If you're watching in the future, hi. You never know. But her website has all of her books on there, and she updates not just when a book is coming out, but she'll tease releases. But again, if you don't have anything cooking, it's harder to know what to put up there, which comes back to knowing what you as an author want to represent. And I think you can tie booktube kind of content into this very easily. You could, if you don't have anything writing going on this month, you could just post, here's 5 books that I've read this month that I really liked, or here's 5 authors that I'm trying to emulate. People love lists.
Right. And reviews are king.
Yeah.
Reviews are very, very big. So even a blog post that reviews something that you read, or like, so we all know the YouTube content. Like it's very simple. Like Kate was saying about how her blog ideas would turn into author tube videos. Like it's very, very easy to do both of those things. Like for me, I know that I do goal posts. So I do like at the beginning of the month what I plan to do with the month, how I plan to get the goals. So that's one post. Then there's one at the end of the month. So that's 2 posts. And then if I want to do an update, then I have 3 posts in one month, basically off of just saying what my writing goals are for that month. So it doesn't have to be something in depth. With all of you guys who are participating in Mill Wordy, that is a great way to start a blog. That is a great thing to start with your journey on this Mill Wordy project, or half a Mill Wordy, or a quarter Mill Wordy, whatever it is that you're doing. Like those are all things that you could incorporate into your blog as part of how you get everything out there. So we had a few people join us. So I want to say hi. So we had Kimber Waits, the writer. And she says, I have a blog, but it's more for my curriculum writing, not my fiction. Curriculum writing, what do you mean by that? Could you tell me what that means? I don't know what that is. And then Grapevine says, that's exactly why I haven't published my website, because I want to add blog posts about my projects, but I haven't got to it yet. And then Becca joined us. Hello. How are you? I hope you're doing good. Ooh, and Margaret has been doing, I want to say Margaret has been doing like a video every day for September so far. I feel like I've been getting I feel like that was you. Let me know if I'm wrong, because I've watched a few of them. I haven't got to watch all of them, but she's been doing videos every day, I believe, and it's been interesting to watch. And then we got Kat. They joined us. My website is currently just a link tree I created to navigate people to other places because I'm still building the rest. I find people clicking on it a lot more than before. That is awesome.
That's great.
That is fantastic. And then Ashley says, like for my website, I wanted a blog, a character tab, a place to put mock-up designs for future books, and build from there until I publish something. That is good. Like having an idea of what you want to do. So on this part, I get really excited because my career field was in cyber. It was in development. And so I did a bunch of web design and things like that. And so having those different things for people to go and get immersed into your world are awesome, for people to get to go and see different information about characters, or to get to see what you're working on for books, or like what's coming soon. Those are great things to have. So that's good. And Kay says, "Ooh, I do love goalposts, and I find that I don't like making them into videos. So this is perfect for me." Exactly, because as a video, like personally, I don't like putting all my goals out there. I don't want all y'all in my business. I got a lot of
It
goals.
feels so personal when you do a
They
video
do
for that.
when you do,
It's
and
like,
then if I don't stick to them, I feel like I gotta tell you why I didn't make it. Like it's a lot when you do a
it's like,
video.
you don't
A
need to know
blog
why.
post, it's not the
Yeah.
same. So yeah. Funny to see this conversation now as I'm getting up the courage to leave behind the newsletter and the blog, those standbys of the indie author experience. So newsletters. How do you feel about newsletters?
I think with newsletters are a tricky area because I think in order to have a newsletter, you have to have a following. So I think even if you're not sure where you stand on newsletters, I think you need to, if you have a website, blanket statement, everybody should have one of those sign up for my newsletter things. Because even if you don't think you want to do a newsletter, or even if you decide that newsletters aren't for you, you still want to tell people when you publish. So having that list of
Building that
email
email
addresses is
list
like
is
101.
important. Building that email
Mm-hmm.
list is key, 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 key.
Yeah, so even if you think you won't use it, collecting those emails is sort of step one. And I find that there are very few newsletters that I enjoy getting. Once a week is about the max, but honestly, I'd prefer once a month if it had like more useful content, you know? But I accidentally signed up for Thomas Frank's email once, and now I'm getting emails every 3 days. And I'm like, Thomas Frank, you're very cute, and I like your productivity videos, but please stop emailing me.
Yeah, some people do. Some people do. And that's another thing, right? So, newsletters to me, I feel like are so important and they're so crucial because that's someone giving you an end to their life. Like, here, I'm giving you
Mm-hmm.
my email and giving you permission to contact me. And so, in that, I feel like what you put in the newsletter needs to be important, it needs to be
Yeah,
relevant, it needs to get the reader's attention. I
it needs to
don't
be
feel
news.
like I feel like blog posts are good for doing that weekly. Blog posts,
Yeah,
people can subscribe, they can come to their email, they can read them when they get to. Newsletters are, hey, I'm trying to get your attention about something that I'm doing. And I feel like
yeah,
that is what makes them a little different and a lot more important, I feel like. But I feel like
yeah,
the content in them needs to merit being in a newsletter. And I think that that's something that people haven't gotten the grasp of because as indie publishers, we're
oh,
told, oh, just go ahead and do a newsletter. Everybody needs to have a newsletter.
and it's like,
Eventually, you do. I do agree with that. But
but you
in the
gotta have
beginning,
news.
you gotta have something to tell people. Like I don't. I promise you, if I see your email in my email and you don't have nothing to say, you gonna end up sending me one of those. You haven't opened one of my emails in 4 months. Are you sure you want to still be a part? I probably don't. I'm probably gonna say no
Yeah,
because you haven't given me any content. And I think that is the important part about this conversation is in order to be an author, you need to be writing. You need to be building your content. And
yeah,
that's what needs to be going on. And so I feel like what I want to make sure that we are impressing upon you guys today is to write to get that experience to become that author. Because if you're not working on your words, you're never going to get to that next level.
yeah. And all of this, like website, newsletters, blog posts, all of that does absolutely nothing if it means that your entire week is spent creating a website and not writing. There's that level that you have to be honest with yourself about how much time and effort these things are taking away from you and how much they're contributing. So that's a key factor too. I will say that most of these can be done at such a level that they are borderline automatic, depending on how you set them up. And there are tricks to that we can go into in the future. Oh, that's the other thing. If you guys have any specific subjects that you want us to cover in future videos, make sure you're linking them, not just in the chat, but in the comments down below so that we know what you guys want us to talk about.
Yes, please do that. And Bonnie brought up a good point. I mean, verses, as in this verses that always creates fiction. And I think that was what we didn't want to do when we did writer versus authors. We're not wanting to put writers against authors, but just the differences between writers and authors and what we can do to help people who are writers that want to become authors get to that point. And I think a big part of that is finding a way to build your audience. And with the ability that we have through YouTube, like you automatically get people reading, right? So say you have or watching, you have 300 people subscribed to you watching your content. In the description box, link your blog. In the description box, link your website or link something to where people you can start gathering emails. Because again, you don't have to start using the emails right now.
No.
You don't have to start using the emails right now. Using them later is always an option, and it's a good one, honestly, to save and have, because you never know, like, this person was interested in your journey at this point. Maybe they fell off because the content wasn't what they wanted or anything like that. But then, hey, you send them this email, right? Like, there's a lot that happens, and you send them this email, and then that gets them reintroduced to you, to your content, to what you're doing, things like that.
Yeah, I started collecting emails when the Nerdy Nanny went live, which was a little over a year ago, and it took me a while to figure out what I actually wanted to write about. But I remember it was very funny because I set up the newsletter thing, didn't think about it for 6 months. And for the first 6 months, the only person that was subscribed to my newsletter was my mother. I don't have a newsletter yet, so she didn't get any news because she talks to me on Sundays. But then now I've gone back and checked, and now that sort of the Nerdy Nanny, especially with the distance learning, people are looking for more sort of education and how to not lose your mind with your kids in the house and all that kind of stuff. So I've been seeing more traction, and I'm starting to see emails trickle in, and I'm like, oh, people, that's cool. They gave me their emails. What do I tell them? But so I'm holding on to them until I have something to tell them. But it's when you start collecting them, it takes time. So start collecting now.
And if you notice, when you go to most blogs, one of the first things that happens is a pop-up that asks for your email. That is one of the most common things that happens on websites and blogs all over. Like, you can go to Nike.com and get one of those where they'll send you emails. Like, these are things that businesses outside of writers, outside of authors, are doing, because it's a way to market to you, to get more information to you in a personal fashion that you would not on a normal basis see. If I'm an indie author and you're not necessarily checking for indie authors in my genre specifically, having your email is a way to get to you that I didn't have before. And then we had Sin Seriousness join us. Melanie says, I love newsletters, mainly because I tend to fall behind on videos. Just as Kate, I think I commented on 4 or 5 of her videos last night, and they're a quick read between tasks. Kat says they'll start making goal videos, could help with keeping on task. It does. Margaret says, right, I'm scaling it back to book launch only instead of an unreal expectation of monthly updates of the mundane life, and like how to do it and start. Okay, we'll definitely remember that, like how to start a newsletter. I have both. I made it in Wix and haven't published yet. Ashley says, I'm working on a blog right now, a post about why I'm not doing mail wording. Becca says, I keep wanting to do a newsletter, but I just never get around to making one. I have a collection of emails that have never received an email from me. It's a thing. It is a thing. Ashley says, I too am being stalked by Thomas Frank.
He emails like every day, and I'm like, okay, I don't need this many study tips, Tom. Calm down.
Kat says, I don't really like newsletters that just regurgitate what is in the video already, but that's just me. I love the look of newsletters, though. I agree. Better Day says, no, I don't have a blog or website yet. I'm not ready for responsibility. So this is great personal awareness. I just want to say that's great personal awareness, because it is hard. When I first started the blog, so it was called My Art is Dope, and I plan on using that for something else. And it was strictly like poetry, essays, and photography. Yeah, I think I did that for like 2 months solid and did great. And then there was nothing for years because I could not handle it. And I thought I could. I had done research on how to manage a blog and everything like that. But researching it and putting it into action are two completely different things. Bonnie says, build your niches or then target with the landing page, sales funnel, the website, newsletter, about page, email collection. Stick says, I agree with the newsletter thing. You need to have actual news. I'm so tired of another month where I don't have any news that I keep getting from letters I've signed up to support people. Very true. Very, very true. So he says, I think there are so many steps in this journey, and you need to start at the beginning. If you don't write, it's all a waste of time anyways. Very true. Hannah says, ditto, newsletters are powerful sales and relationship tools for you and your reader, but they're counterproductive if you got nothing to value for the audience you're emailing. Fantastic. Yay, I'm glad that you guys are loving it. Bye, Sid. Thank you so much for being here and supporting us. We appreciate you.
Bye, Sid.
I'm so happy I decided to tune in for this. The Business Books is a great title for this series. I'm excited to see what topics are brought in the future. Fantastic.
Oh, we got
Newsletters are
all
like the
kinds of
family catch up
craziness.
Christmas letter, but monthly. I like that. I like that. I hadn't thought of that. I like that.
And I've also seen newsletters that are quarterly too. So if you think you want to start one and you're not sure, try quarterly, because really that's 4 a year. 4 a year, I think most of us can manage. And if you miss one, oops.
And be honest, that's what I plan to do for 2021 is a quarterly
Yeah.
newsletter. Because I plan on setting my goals in 3 month increments. And
Yeah.
so that's what I plan on doing for 2021. And so it will be a video series of like my newsletter and how that works so that you guys can see that. Because I think one thing that I'm learning from being a part of the writing community via YouTube is there's not a lot of people actually showing you how they do the things that they do, and it's a lot harder to grasp it if you can't see it if you're a visual person. And for me, I'm a visual person. It's part of the reason why online classes really don't really work for me. Like, I need to have
Yeah.
the teacher in front of me showing me how to do these things. And I think that one thing that I would like for those of you guys who are watching to do is to let us know what it would be, what you would like in a newsletter as a reader, so we can discuss that as well, because those of us who are ingesting the information need to also tell the people who are writing the information so they have a better idea. So just like how Stick said he doesn't like to read this is a newsletter that has no new news, or how Kat says they don't like to read something that is regurgitated information from a video. Like, that is information that you guys got in these comments, and you guys haven't even put out a newsletter.
And now you have all these inside
Right
tips.
now, you
And
have insights that you didn't have before.
And I think that's an important process to go through, not just from what other people think, but even when you're in the very early stages, look at what you're ingesting. What are you choosing to click subscribe to? What are you choosing to follow? And there's a level of self-honesty that's required with most of this stuff, that's whether it's writing or business, where you can think that you like a concept, but if you're not actually acting on that, then do you actually really like those types of videos or newsletters? Or is it just that you think you like the idea of them? I think that I like these super intelligent essays. The ones that I actually open all have cute dog pictures. So now you know how to get me to subscribe to your newsletter. So
So I
just
need
be
to work
honest
on
with what
pictures
you
of
do.
Titan and Cleo. I need to get more pictures of Titan and Cleo for you.
Oh, yes.
So Gracie says, I might focus on my blog more since I'm not able to do more videos thanks to lack of tech. And it'll feel like less pressure until I get the hang of things. Since I really enjoy making graphics, this will be something easy for me to dive into. And I think it's a great start. And honestly, as someone who knows you personally and has gotten to read some of your work, yo, I am excited for this, because even like you guys, like, think about this, like even a flash fiction, 1,000 words set in your world, and it could just be the history of your world on your blog.
Yeah.
Think about your favorite author, and if they would do that, and how much that would get you into their website and things like that. Like, think about that in a concept of when you're writing and putting things out there. Also think from the concept of being a consumer, of being someone who takes things in. Like Eve was saying, like, think about what you subscribe to and what makes you read those newsletters, and try to figure out ways to emulate that. Like, of course, you don't have to do exactly what they do, because you're you, and we don't want you necessarily repeating what someone else's will, because that's not necessary. But at the same time, like for me as a photographer, I will take pictures that I find on Pinterest and do my best to recreate them. Now, I'm not going to be exactly the same, because I don't have that same eye as that author or as that photographer, but they gave me inspiration to help me create a whole new shoot. And that's what you have to think about when it comes to writing as well. How can I use what I have seen done to create something that works for my lane and what I want to create?
And that's something that I think you've hit on that's really important. That can be a huge creative outlet, is to look at someone whose work that you like and try to emulate it, or cherry pick different aspects of it. I do that with YouTube videos sometimes. I know what YouTube videos I watch, and I will actually go through and be like, okay, they're doing a lot of that voiceover-y type stuff. Maybe I should try. So I've been experimenting with voiceover type stuff. The one thing I figured out is I actually do have to buy a microphone. But other than that, it seems to be going well. But like, look at what you're ingesting and cherry pick the bits that you like and use that inspiration to create something new. And don't be afraid to play around with it. What you think you might like to do and what you actually like to do could be very different in practice. But you won't know that until you do it.
So Melanie says, as a reader, I want to know what upcoming publications I should keep an eye out for. Pre-orders are available. If there's giveaways, contests of any kind, awesome. Alex says, I like teasers from books and pictures of works. Stick says, I have a friend who's a writer and a homeschooling mom, and she does book recommendations each month, one from her and one from her daughter. I love that concept. I think that's awesome. I'm with Hannah. That is sweet. And Great says, I like when newsletters are humorous, have a peek at the author's personal life, and then follow up with info about their book progress. Hannah agrees with that. Margaret says, I like observations and videos about trends in the community. Wild Book Garden's latest is a great example, or the underrated videos that ponder why the market works that way. Go deep. Naked Firefly says, I have a newsletter and I've been trying to revamp it. Bonnie says, save and use the newsletters for swipe file inspiration and examples. Yeah. And I said Pinterest for photography. Yo, you can look at Pinterest for newsletters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You can look at Pinterest for newsletters and see how people set theirs up, see different things.
They got a Pinterest
you don't
for
even
everything.
necessarily have to give your email away to see other newsletters. Like, you could go and look that way. So there are a lot of ways to incorporate what you see and what interests you in that.
Yeah, they've got a Pinterest for everything.
Okay, so we are nearing the top of the hour. Were there any other questions that anybody had, or anything that anyone wanted us to hit on before we say our last few thoughts and whatnot? Because we're doing an hour, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think unless there was any like huge conversation we got into.
Y'all want to talk about, you know.
Yeah.
Jessica says, y'all know Susan Dennard is my queen. Her newsletters are the best. A small life update, a writing update, and then either she or a writer friend do a chat about writing craft. I like that. I like
the mix and match too, because it's hitting a couple of different demographics. And that's the thing. As a writer, you will have people following your work from different niches. So don't just aim for the one person that you think is going to recognize there are probably different pockets and different things are going to appeal to different people.
Dolores says, I stopped doing my Tumblr blog because I felt like I need to give advice, but I really wanted more of history of my journey, which is why I started my YouTube and doing vlogs. And that's what my blog is going between. It's going between being a chronicle for my journey as well as a place to show what I'm working on. So yeah, I definitely understand it. And that's why I started YouTube, was to visually chronicle my journey, and it was a different take on it. So I definitely understand it. Also, hello. I don't think I've ever seen you in here before. It's so great to see you. Ashley says, I love the ideas everyone is putting up about newsletters. I have a cute dog, a baby. I sew and apply in a garden. I have so much content. You do.
She's the queen of content over here.
You have a lot. Love this stream. Awesome. This is a good stream. It's not a topic, and I love to see people's different thoughts. Definitely gotten some ideas for future platforms. Yay. That's fantastic. Yeah, glad I happened in on this live. Thank you so much for creating this space and being so welcome positive. You're welcome. Arthur JC, we were talking about you before we got started. We were like, we know that she is the woman that wants all the business information. So we are glad that there is a replay button as well for you.
And don't forget to hit your questions below so that we can, Yeah,
don't forget your questions. So we're doing this monthly. This month there will be 2. So the next one is the weekend of
the 20th.
The 20th, yeah. So the next one will be in 2 weeks from today. And so our videos will come out the Friday before, so you guys can see the videos. Mine will come out on time this time, okay? It will. So it'll come out on Friday, and you guys can watch the individual videos, post your comments there, and if you have questions, post them there, and we will bring them up in the Sunday live stream that follows. I love that this didn't turn into a debate. It was a genuine discussion where everyone could share their ideas and not be judged on school that I made it. You're very welcome. I do. I was on my church live when y'all shot. It's fine. So the reason we're doing them earlier is to accommodate the international people to be able to see, because Eve is in Sweden. So they will be earlier in the day on Sundays. So definitely just be ready for that. Next week we will be, or next time we will be on Eve's channel.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, we'll be on Eve's channel. So we'll just
we're going to be alternating
from the channels. So you want to go with our final thoughts?
Yeah, so I think I'm so glad that you guys all joined us. I really am glad that this became a discussion, because that is what we're here to do. We want to give you guys ideas and inspiration and hopefully answer your questions and make the business aspect of becoming an author less scary and more accessible and easier to understand, because what we want is for each and every one of you to be able to succeed and get your book out there and get it into the hands of thousands upon thousands of readers who will absolutely adore every word that you've ever written. So we hope that you can join us next time. Make sure you head on over to my channel, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that when we go live, you make sure you don't miss it. We'll be alternating every other week. And if you are part of the homeschooling crew, I will be doing a stream next Sunday with Michelle Whitson. So we'll get some of those questions answered too. I think that's it.
All right, and oh, I forget that there's like an echo like at the very beginning. It scared me that time. So again, with Eve, like she was saying, the basic idea for this is we really just want to make the business side easier to understand, especially because y'all, we are really creative, and sometimes being creative, you don't have time to think about the business stuff. You just want to create, but we want to make money from what we create too. So like, how do we make that happen? And that is what we're hoping to do with this series. I'm super excited because Becca is now excited for her newsletter, and I'm excited for her newsletter, right? So I cannot wait for us to continue with this. I do thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your questions. Again, we will be looking for those. So if you do go back and watch the replay and you have questions that we didn't answer, there will be a time at the beginning of the ones that we just answered questions, and then we go into talking about the topic. So definitely just don't forget to do that. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. I don't know. I guess that's it for today, right? We made it to an hour. Thank you guys so much for being here. We do appreciate you. And we're welcome. Or dang, I missed that one. You're welcome, international audience. TM Sparrow is my homeschooling mom. She has it. Okay, those of you guys looking for homeschooling stuff, there you go. Another channel to look at. I had so much fun listening, you guys. Great stream. Awesome. You guys have a great day. Can we email questions to you guys? I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that personally. Yep. Stay hydrated, safe, and healthy. Yeah. I second this. I'm excited for everyone's blog sites and newsletters. So yeah, that is something I would like you guys to do. If you guys learn anything from what we've done and you like used it in any kind of way, if you guys would tell us so that we could talk about that or showcase that. Like, if you do a newsletter now that we've done this and you want us to share it when we do the live streams or in our videos, we can include those links because we want to help you as much as we can. So definitely, if you created a website, if you do a blog, if you do any of that, don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know that information. Okay, that's all I got. That's all you got. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye.